What is life compared to in the poem A Flower of Five Petals? Which of the following is the first petal of life? Love. What settles on the first petal of life? A lusting bee. What does the bee do to the first petal? It quenches its thirst. What is the role of love in the poem? It is the first petal of life. What is the metaphor used to describe love in the poem? A petal of flower. What action does the bee perform on the flower? Quenching thirst. What does the bee symbolize in the poem? A person seeking satisfaction. What is the central theme of this stanza? Love and satisfaction. What literary device is used when comparing life to a flower? Metaphor. What is described as drooping treasure in this poem? Faith. What is faith compared to in terms of value? A drooping treasure. How is faith evaluated in the poem in fastidious measure? What does fastidious measure imply? It is done with great attention and detail. What is the position of faith in a sequence or list? The second. What is the overall tone of the poem regarding faith? Pessimistic. What does recount suggest about the valuation of faith? It is deliberate. How does the poem portray the value of faith? As something undervalued. What literary device might be used to describe faith as a drooping treasure? Metaphor. What does the poem suggest about the perception of faith? It is often overlooked. What is the subject of the third stanza? Hope and a violent scene. What is described as a brooding? The hurt. What is the condition of the bird? It is blood spattered. What does the bird take rest? On a brooding hurt. What emotion does the third stanza evoke? Sadness and despair. What is the role of hope in this stanza? It is contrasting element. What imagery does the third stanza use? Violent and disturbing. What does the blood spattered bird symbolize? Violence and suffering. What tone does the stanza convey? Melancholic and somber. Which literary device is describing the brooding hurt? Metaphor. What is the subject to see the poem? The fourth. What is the subject unable to see in the poem? The fourth petal. What is described as stretchingly endlessly? What is described as stretching endlessly in the poem? A limp hand. What is the hand reaching in the poem? The touch of the hand. The touch of the land. What is the hand described in the poem? Limp. What is the poem primarily about? A longing for land. What is the tone of the poem? Melancholic. What is the fourth that cannot be seen? Not specific. What does the hand symbolize in the poem? Weakness. What is the poem's focus on? Emotional longing. What is the overall mood conveyed in the poem? Somber. What does described as terrible in this stanza? The book. What emotion is conveyed in the phrase terribly trapped? Fear. Which literary device is primarily used in the phrase wrapped in the terrible book? Metaphor. What does the fifth look suggest about perception? It involves scrutiny and judgment. The term terrible man suggests that the man is dangerous or evil. In the context of the final stanza, what might be the book symbolize? Suffering or doom. What overall theme can be inferred from the final stanza? Trapped existence and despair. The phrase wrapped in the terrible book implies what about the man's situation? He is confined or restricted. What effect does the repetition of terrible have in this stanza? It emphasizes negativity and fear. How does the structure of the last stanza contribute to its meaning? It builds tension and urgency.